Nothing More dropped their new album, Carnal. Let me just say, I am glad I gave this record a second listen.
Yes.
Because I was about to come on here and be like, man, I don't understand this band. I don't understand how big they are. I don't know why they put 7 interludes in the record. Like, I was just going to basically be like, the singles are the only good part of the record, man. But I gave this record a second listen, and I came away enjoying it a lot more than I did on the first listen. So, prefacing what I'm about to say with, if you are feeling similar to how I just described my feelings on the first listen to the record a second time, because I think you'll come away enjoying it a little bit more. So the album starts off, it's very top heavy, it's very front loaded. All the familiar songs are first. You've got House on Sand, If It Doesn't Hurt, and Angel Song, which were the 3 singles off the record, and Free Fall is like the big focus track that they're really pushing. So you've got those just boom, 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 boom right there in a row for you to you're really not easing into the record. You're just going in with the familiarity. And then, the first song that more than likely you haven't heard would be Free Fall, unless you're listening to Octane or whatever before listening to the full record, like I was, and I heard Free Fall in bits and pieces throughout the weekend 47,000 times. And then, Blame It on the Drugs is the first, like, quote unquote, technically non-single the record. And I really like that song. I thought it was cool. And I would just like to say, I do like the way the album opens with the intro track, which is called Carnal as well. It swells up. It gets you really fucking amped for the record. It swells up and it builds into House on Sand, which is one of the heaviest songs on the record.
So fucking
and probably my favorite anyway. I really like House on Sand, and Eric from I Prevail, love him as well. And then you've got another interlude, a track, interlude, couple of tracks, interlude, couple of tracks, closes with an outro, but it's another fucking instrumental bit. There's a lot of those on the record, and at first
you sound like you're still upset about
no. I'm getting there.
Okay.
First listen, it felt like they didn't, like, nothing fucking flowed. It was so disjointed, and I was just like as soon as this album starts going, like, it felt like to me on the first listen that I did not get a chance for this album to get going.
Yeah.
There were too many fucking interludes. As soon as they would get into a groove, it would be immediately fucked up. Or like the fact that there's Head, which is an interlude, and then Existential Dread, and then Heart, which is a very long instrumental interlude. It felt like they're just stifling any progress that this album could make. And if you just took these all away, this album would flow so much better. But on my second listen, I started to pick up on the little things that were causing these to flow into each other, and they weren't such a nuisance as they were on the first listen. So there are a lot, and that's, I think, the main thing that was, because they write great songs. They're a strong band. There's a reason why they are as big as they are. But I think that was the main thing. So on my second listen, I was like, this flows so much better. I understand it. I get it. So I think they're not a nuisance to me anymore, but there are a lot of them.
I was thinking roughly the same thing, only I was a little more open-minded to it, because I like instrumentals, I like kind of interludes and that kind of thing, but they're a little on the longer side. So it was kind of did someone forget to put vocals over this? Was this supposed to make it to the final product? I think it's funny because this is kind of like the metalcore version
hard rock,
hard rock.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking bad.
I'm just gonna say,
kill me.
I'm putting this band in hard rock solely because there were 2 heavier songs on this record, and I always forget that they're not as heavy of a band as you would think they are based on the scene that they're in.
And it feels like they should be heavier. And that's kind of one of my things with this album. So let me finish my first point, and then I'm going to go to that one, because I was thinking that while going through it, because the first couple tracks are heavy and then it kind of dwindles a little bit. Anyways, it's funny comparison. You know that fucking 1975 record with like the 30 billion interludes?
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, this is that genre's
Notes
version
on a
of that
Conditional
album.
Form.
Yeah, and I liked that record.
Mhm.
Looking back, would I listen to the full thing with all the 30 interludes? No. But it was fun the first couple of times I listened to it. Now, to go to my second point, I feel like this band has so much potential if they went heavier, because just the looks that they have, their fucking stage presence, the scorpion ass thing that he gets on, it's all reading metalcore, heavy, like go fucking crazy type shit. But it just feels like their music kind of like gets up there for a second and doesn't hit it and then just goes right back down.
Mhm.
It feels like they're missing, like I hope their next album is more like the first couple tracks on this. Like um House on Sand and Angel Song, which were singles, are still my favorite tracks off the record because they're more on the heavier side. I would really like it if they went heavier because it makes sense for them. And maybe it's just because I'm not like a hard rock person where it just feels like you're basically there. You might as well just commit fully. That's kind of how I see hard rock, where it's like, dude, just you're either fucking rock or you're fucking metalcore. There shouldn't be an in between because then it just feels unfinished to me. Um, I liked the record. I only went through it like 1.5 times. Because it's Nothing More is kind of one of those bands where it feels like I should get into them because of the scene and the circle that they're in. Like I saw Crown and Thousand Below for the first time because of this band,
Mhm.
and I am obsessed with both of those bands, but it feels like I should be more into Nothing More because of their crazy stage presence and because of how he paints himself and he has the fucking scorpion. Like that shit's cool. But
They
I
put
just
on one
can't.
hell of a live show.
Exactly, but I can't bring myself to get into them because it's just like it feels like they aren't at their full potential yet because they aren't going heavier, and I need them to, just like a little bit, like a little bit. Um, Great record though. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I wish they would just take the leap. One album, test it out. Just test it out, see how it feels. If you don't like it, go back to hard rock. That's all I ask. That's
Yeah,
all I ask.
yeah, I get that feeling too. Like that they like. I always forget that they're not as heavy as they are, just based on the scene that they're in, and the singles off of every record are always a little bit more of the what you kind of expect from the band, which is
Yeah.
like hard rock teetering on like a metalcore, whereas like this is just like then you get to the rest of the record where and it's just like that's what the band actually sounds like.
Yeah.
Which I got
It-
no problems with. I'm a Nothing More fan, but
Mhm.
not like listen to the albums 24/7. Like I know what they are, but every time I got to take that second listen to be like, no, wait, I'm not
Please.
actually a huge hater, and I actually like this band and I like this record.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so
Mhm.
glad I had the time to put in a second listen to this record. I really like my favorite song on the record is House on Sand. Close second being Stuck. Those are the two heavy bangers on the record. I like It Doesn't Hurt. If it could have a second to breathe and not be played every 14 seconds on the radio.
Christ.
That's the only reason why that song has been a skip for me every time I hear it, because I have heard it so many times. And that's just a problem I have with Nothing More in general, because they are so big. Their songs are everywhere. I hear them a lot. So it's like I get tired of the singles, not even because I am intentionally listening to them so much. I'm just like they are
They're being
big.
forced on you.
They are big in the rock world.
Yeah.
So I like that song. I have liked that song. It just needs a minute now to breathe. Hopefully one of the other songs off the record skyrockets on Octane, and that'll be the one that I'm hearing. I like Blame It on the Drugs. I think it's catchy. Existential Dread. I'm basically naming every single song except the two after Heart.
Okay.
I do not like that little section of the record. I don't like Heart, the interlude. Down to the River, down the river, and Give It Time are not my favorites on the record. Probably my least favorite. I just feel like that portion of the record is where we hit the divot in the track list, and but they don't worry, they pick it right back up with Stuck and Run for Your Life, which I think are awesome. And I think that the album ends really cool with the outro in sound. So overall, I came away enjoying this record a lot more than I thought I was going to. And I'm just, stoked to see where this one goes, because that headliner that they announced, rooms are fucking huge. Can't believe the bands are taking on out on support. Direct support to Godsmack. Fucking huge. So
it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
We say this every time. They don't feel like they're that big.
I saw them supposed to co-headline with Asking Alexandria drop off due to sickness last minute, and I was already at the venue, which was the only reason I even went. If I was still home, I wouldn't have went. But it was nothing more than Asking Alexandria in like a 2,300 cap room, and it's like the rooms are double that now on a solo headliner, which is just like, all right, again,
holy fuck.
Was I asleep while this band blew up to a whole nother level, or did it just happen in front of my very, very own eyes and no one told me? I'm starting to lose my touch on knowing the bands that are popping. Like,
you're getting old, man. You're getting old.
Overall, I enjoyed this record. I'm excited to spend more time with it. Glad that I was able to come away enjoying it, and stoked to see them at some point during this album cycle. I will not be catching them in Camden, although I wish that I was, because I've wanted to go to the radio festival they're playing for many years now. But Point North announced a show the same day, headliner, and it's been I haven't seen Point North headline, so it's long overdue. But it sucks because it's nothing more. The Warning and Sleep Theory are the three bands that I would want to see on that lineup.
Shit.
And I'm so torn. I'm like, oh fuck, because the band we're about to get into, The Warning.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Honestly,
Dude, it's a toss up. It's a toss up. I don't have tickets to either one yet. It's a toss up. I'm not worried about either one selling out. So it's TBD. I'm leaning towards Point North because I really like their new record, and it's not a festival, so it starts later, and there's 4 bands on the lineup that I'll actually want to see versus 10 bands on the festival lineup, a little bit more of an expensive ticket further away from my house, and probably, one of those bands might get a 45-minute long set, but more than likely it's going to be a lot of 35-minute sets, even though, they're all fucking headliners in their own right, but it's also an amphitheater being headlined by a massive band. So it's like, I'm gonna toss up, but TBD.
That's fair.
TBD, but it's a great lineup, that little portion of it. So yeah, overall, this record was awesome. Stoked I'm sure they'll be headlining 2025, so that's what I'm holding out for, with probably a crazy ass support lineup of like bands that like headline their own fucking rooms, like massive rooms. I'll be like, what the fuck? They'll be playing arenas, and I'll be like, why didn't anybody tell me?
When did this happen, guys? What the fuck? They were just playing 300 cap rooms the other night. What's going on here? Christ. Oh my god.